only and his guests are not responsible for any losses you may accrue for having weekends. Where the haters at? Y'all bitches still ain't showed up. And now, right, we got Hex, flawless uptime. People thought this was a joke. Now they're mad at the chart. It's lullaby music, really, right? It's hard to believe that something like this exists. I get it, but you just gotta come to terms with reality. It just exists. Nothing we can do about it. Buy a steak and chill, baby. Shout out to Marketable Thoughts. This is Whales Only. Glad you guys can make it out. I'm making some claims that are pretty outlandish, but I can back them up. Boom. End of story. There is no other crypto out there, so don't get it twisted. If you don't understand where you're parking your money, you're gonna pay the consequences for that, and that's just how the cookie crumbles. Boom. We're obliterating everybody, literally. There is nobody else that comes close to what Hex has done. Right? The reality is that I want to be rich as fuck. There's only one way to be rich as fuck. That's by sitting on your ass the longest. Yep. That's it. Yep. That's the secret. The guy well told you. Richard done told you. I done told you. Kareem done told you. Maddie done told you. Everybody done told you. Everybody done told you. Shit, motherfuckers still acting like they don't know. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
100% safe. There's plenty of games left.
Valiant done told you. Yo, everybody said it. I mean, hey, you know what it is, man? Everybody done told you. Y'all's deep. Everybody. My God. Ex-Asians, bro. Everybody. Australians, man. Everybody gets me. Yo, when is it told you? Dollar told you. Everybody done told you. It's crazy. What up, everybody? Hope everybody is having a solid Wednesday. I'm gonna get a quick stream in here. Just let you guys see what's going on in the data and update you guys in regards to kind of what's going on out here. Because let me tell you, they coming hard. As you guys can see, the inflation is really not slowing down. If anything, it's continuously picking up, and it's really just no holds bar, no matter where you look, kind of, sort of. I mean, markets are kind of spinning out of control. You know, it's a little crazy right now. So we're gonna take a look at some charts, just try to wrap our heads around what's exactly going on. Take a look at some Hex data. I mean, you know, Hex is running 24/7, right? It's never really not running. So it's very easy for me to just not care, because, you know, like, I know it's running, right? But if you're new to Hex, you might not know exactly how careless we can be over here because of the 100% uptime that we're used to. What does that mean exactly? Well, to start with, you know, cryptocurrency is software. So that's step number one. Okay, so software. So if you're new to cryptocurrency, you're new to Hex, that's number one, is software. So what software do you like using that doesn't operate? I would say none. Right? You kind of want to use software that works all the time. And, you know, when you sit there and think about it, even ATMs don't run 24/7, right? Even ATMs have downtime. right? I mean, the things we rely on the most consistently have downtime, and this thing here does not. Now, this is all based on how it's designed and whatnot, but these are things that are important to understand, right? Because this is how you end up picking the next gem. Because it's not every day that hex coins come across the table, right? It's not every day. Something like hex just comes across the table. So this is why we study it. We try to understand it, and we try to relay that information in as very simplest form as possible. Because what's happening right now is really, really crucial to kind of everything. Because in a lot of ways, what's happening right now, you're seeing a lot of countries somewhat pick sides, right? And what do I mean? Well, they're picking what kind of money they want to use, right? Like you got countries like South Africa, Brazil, Russia, India, and China, i.e. the BRICS. They're trying to start their own basket of currency, meaning it's probably going to be a commodity backed currency. And if you guys haven't noticed, that works. And the reason that works is because you cannot fight the math. I mean, I've talked to you guys for this, about that specific statement right there, since day one, and this is what makes Hex superior, because that math cannot be debated, right? That's what it's all about. It's about the math, and we'll go over a little bit later on. Try to understand what exactly is it that I mean. How does inflation happen, right? Because it's really just all math, and this is how anybody that was paying attention could see that this ridiculous amount of inflation was coming down the road. I mean, it doesn't take a genius to see this at all. So let me take a minute and say what's up to the chat. But what you guys can see here is that it looks like we hit a pretty solid area of support. We'll see if price holds, because as you guys know, pure markets, TA doesn't really matter as much. But I guess we'll check HEX.VISION and see what the staking ladder looks like. But what's up to everybody in the chat? Thank you guys for tuning in on this last minute stream. It's just so much going on. I'm like trying to wait for an opportune time, kind of, sort of, and it never really materializes because it's every day nonstop. I mean, there's this thing going on that most people aren't even aware of called Digital Asset Summit. What is this? Nobody really knows, but it's happening here in New York right now during the month of June. And they're gonna also hold another iteration of it. I guess they're trying to set it up now or something, but they're doing something now in New York. But there's gonna be another weekend, I guess, in September where they actually have an event. Let's see here. Yeah, it's a Tuesday, Wednesday event. Anyways, long story short, where do these institutions even come from? Right? How do you get all these entities to magically show up at a New York City NFT thing? Right? Well, I mean, these people are paying hundreds and thousands of dollars to attend these events. They're not free. So who's organizing them? Why are these big names going? Why is it worthwhile? They weren't at the HEX conference in Vegas, and that's where all the money is. So what's exactly going on here? And we know that's where the money is. We see it on chain. So it's not like it's really a debate or an opinion. Like, you on chain. When you look at the volume, we have the most traded volume every day relative to everybody else. So no opinion stated. These are just facts that are on chain. And this is what makes HEX dangerous, right? We can make these kind of crazy statements that nobody else can make. And everybody just got to shut up. Now, imagine the power that contains, right? Thanks for the super chat. I appreciate that, brother. For all new people here, your faces are about to be ripped off with information. Listen, learn, act. You won't find more value in any other community. This is true. There you go. See, people get paid daily, man. It's crazy out here. I mean, you got to think about, what's the point of investing? Yes, the dollar chart matters, of course, but that's only because we use dollars as a unit of account. What happens if that changes? Then all of a sudden, it's just a flat line where it's just 1 equals 1. What then? What are you going to be touting then? How fast 1 goes to 1? Like, I don't understand. What happens if that's the case? Because what's your unit of account in that instance? You don't have one. It's just Hex or whatever crypto you're talking about. Pulse Chain, PulseX, Hedron, Maxi, whatever. Right now we got a whole list. We got our own top 10 already soon enough. And these are the kinds of things you got to think about. Because over time, these values are going to fluctuate with respect to what people want. Right? And I don't know if you guys noticed, but we are pretty much the only ones doing cryptocurrency over here on this side of the world. Literally, everybody else is out here getting wrecked. Why? Why are they getting wrecked? Because they're not actually crypto. I've been telling you guys this for 18 months. Now you're seeing it clear as day. Now you see clear as day what I've been talking about for a year and a half. Because their pants are finally down. The tide is washing out, and you can see who's naked under that water. All right? Yeah, this is a good comment, Z-Burgers. It's very true. People don't understand that, the value is down because the value is down. Kind of a weird thing, but that's how fiat works. Kind of how fiat works. Thanks for the super chat, bro. But I don't know about that. I haven't taken any weed over there, so I don't know about that one. Oh man. But I guess this is to say, if you're in this ecosystem, this Richard Hart ecosystem, you're ridiculously early. Stake your claim now, i.e., obtain your coins now, i.e., do not wait until people figure out what's actually going on over here is legit. Because what's going to happen then is your dollars are going to be worth a whole lot less in crypto terms. Right? Think about that. Because that can happen in an instant. I mean, when I got into Hex, it was 0.5 cent, 0.7 cents. Now it's 4 cents, and it went all the way up to 50 cents out of nowhere. Nobody expected that. Very important. Hi, you good, brother? What's going on, man? I remember you, bro. Hope you well, brother. And yeah, the auto spy. If you was out there at the auto spy, they had some sick whips. Very sick whips. I still talk to a guy that I met out there, actually. Dominic, shout out to him. But yeah. These are things you gotta realize. Like, there's a reason that the price of Hex is 4 cents. It's not because the value of the dollar went up. It's not. It's actually not how it works. It's actually the complete opposite. right? Because in order for the value of something to go down, two things have to happen, or one of two things, or two things. Either people don't want the asset, so they dump it, or the valuation of that asset changes. And that doesn't always happen by demand or supply. Sometimes that happens mathematically. This is how interest rates change in certain cases. Expectations, market adjust to those expectations. It's not actually supply and demand. Supply and demand is begotten by expectations. This is what the Fed does by saying whatever they say to get people to do whatever they want them to do. Man, that's what it's about. It's very simple. Because what are they doing? They're trying to get people to believe what they are saying. And what better way to get them to believe what they are saying than by getting them to believe that they're going to do something and then having them do it for them, not realizing that that's what's happening. Because this is what's been going on for at least 50 years, and it still happens. But what's interesting is that that hasn't really been happening lately, right? And these are the kinds of things that makes markets really go haywire, right? Because what happens is that things move in tandem when they shouldn't, right? And here we're looking at the 30-year yield, and as we can see, it's 35 days per candle, right? So if we're looking at just 2021 through today, right, that's 18 months, okay? Now we're gonna look at it versus Bitcoin. What happened is, you can see interest rates went straight up, basically, from 1.7% to 3.4. So basically 100% increase. What happened with Bitcoin over the past 18 months? It's down. Let's see how much. So so down 40% on a 1x on your cost of capital at a 30-year tenure. Let's see. 75%. Whoop-de-doo. That's still a pretty huge jump in your cost of capital on a long-term basis, right? So what happens if we look at 1 year, which is probably more realistic for certain folks, certain entities? Well, 315x. Now let's look at 2 year. Let's see if this is not accurate. So what am I doing right now? What I'm doing right now is I am trying to ascertain what the cost of capital increase has been over the past 18 months relative to the performance of Bitcoin. Bitcoin is down 40% over the past 18 months, while the cost of capital on a 30-year basis is up 76+%. On a 1 year basis, the cost of capital was up 315x. On a 2 year basis, the cost of capital is up 25x. Now, why am I looking at this? Well, let's go here and let's see what's going on, because there's so much stuff going on. And headlines really do it, right? It's one thing for me to say it, it's another thing for you to see it and for us to discuss it. And I'm pretty sure I saw this headline here. Long story short, the housing market is very, very broken at the moment because the mortgage rates have essentially gone up 100% or more. I don't know, something crazy like that. Um, so, taking all the math into account, the cost of owning a home has gone up basically 100% on a monthly basis. So if it cost you $200,000, $300,000 to get a home before, it now costs you $400,000, $600,000 to get a home on average. So this is what's going on in the real world, right? For anybody trying to get a home and whatnot. I mean, this is crazy because that is inflation. I mean, productivity hasn't gone up 1x, right? Like people are not, or 2x. People are not creating businesses, becoming entrepreneurs, this and that. In fact, we're seeing supply chain restrictions, constrictions, businesses just not being able to find workers. Just like the weirdest economic conditions ever. We're currently in a recession. People are lying from present political administrations, saying that we're not in one when we clearly are. And, you know, it's very simple. When they say no to something, it's clearly that. Straightforward. Because they are clearly, I mean, they've lied clearly for the past 2+ years. So it's not like it's hard to figure that out, right? This is kind of the thing you got to realize, right? Like these folks are really trying to find a way to sucker punch you. Damn, I can't find this damn thing. But it had a nice chart. Had all this nice information on there. Wish I would have freaking bookmarked it or something. Let's see. Shoot, I don't think I'm gonna be able to find it. Oh yeah, but this is interesting. But it is further back than this, I think. Because I remember seeing this headline after that. Oh, this was funny. Yeah, this was from like 2 weeks ago or something. People are only not catching on. Shoot. All right, let's try one more page and then that's it. If I can't find it here, then I'm done. But long story short, you know, the increase of living is such that your increase in income hasn't gone up to keep up with it. And the thing is that this applies to everything, right? I mean, look, this was 2 days or yesterday at 1:25 p.m. Inflation is Americans' top concern, of course. It's no brainer, right? I mean, it doesn't matter what the media says. They're gonna say what they gotta say because that's what they're paid to do, right? So that's irrelevant. But here are the facts, because this is data that's produced by them, and it's so skewed that they can't even hide the fact that it's this bad. And this is the sample size. So what do these statistics even mean? All this stuff. So what happens is, let's say they probably canvass an area where they survey X number of people. They probably aim for 100,000 or something and only get, you know, that number, or maybe they aim for 50,000 and they get them that number. And then the adults fall within that range, male or female, obviously. And then it happened during this time. And the question was, what was your top concern? And then they probably could have picked out of that. I mean, this encompasses everything, right? Everything is inflation, cost of living. Health and social security, cost of living. Inflation, economic situation. Need I say more? Crime, going to definitely be tied to inflation and cost of living. Unemployment, well, if you don't make enough and you're being laid off, well, that's going to compound that problem. Poverty, going to be compounded. Education, going to be compounded. That's just a joke. So Yeah, it's because nobody really actually cares about that. That's definitely going to be compounded. Housing, embedded. So it's knowing all these things, right? I mean, these are truths, right? Like you don't got nobody has to tell you that. A survey isn't necessary for that, but they'll do a survey and act like they really don't know, right? They really, really don't know. Right, and this is a good comment. Follow the billionaires. They're buying this dip for a reason. Right? Think about it. Think about it. They literally shook the market lower. And what are they doing? They're buying. They're getting rid of fiat. They're not doing what you're doing, which is selling crypto for fiat. They're getting rid of fiat. Or maybe not you per se, the average pleb. So, yeah. Those are the kinds of things you got to really think about. Because that's how you make the right moves, right? Oh, man, the Fed. Yeah. It's coming, folks. So, yeah, be prepared. What am I looking for again? All right, doesn't matter because it's not here. The cost of living, though, right? Like, you guys get what I'm trying to say. Like, the cost of living is skyrocketing in every facet right now. The 10-year rate is used a lot for mortgages and whatnot. So let's look at the change in the increase of cost of living for that one. All right. Two and a half X. Now, if 30-year mortgage is using the 10-year rate or a reference rate of some sort, they can use whatever they want. But long story short, it's going to be greater than this, right? The yield is going to be greater than this. So let's look up mortgage rates. Let's see. Okay. So 30-year is currently 5.91 on a national average basis. So nationwide, 5.91%. 10-year, 5.18. Now, these are what are considered to be the base, or what would be the average, right? So what are the odds anybody's getting this? Average person, probably slim to none. Average person going to get something greater than that. So with that in mind, let's go back. Let's see. No, it's not going to show what I thought. Let's see here. Mortgage rates and mortgage. Let's see. Nah. Well, mortgage rate increase and cost of monthly mortgage. There you go. Those are the buyers, not the borrowers. So 6.1%. Now the interesting thing is is that what happens? If the system would be backed by something, it wouldn't actually matter because the flow of money would just be relative to the actual. Man, I can't find this. But just rest assured, right? If the cost of borrowing increased, your cost of payment definitely increased by the same proportion because that's just how the math works. I can't find what I was looking for with this article, so we're just gonna not waste time on that. But as you guys can see, that's basically what's going on, right? Like your cost of the cost of living is just ridiculous right now, right? And that's because the value of the dollar just took a crap. Because you can't just print 40% of something and think it's not going to matter. Very simple. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. And the 6.1, of course, is for the people with good rate, but with good credit scores, right? It's not going to be everybody that gets that. Definitely not. Regular person is definitely getting it. Yeah. And these are part of the reasons why you got to understand what comes with this dip. It's all in your head. None of this stuff is real. It's very difficult for people to wrap their head around it. But it's a game that we play as humans because we place the value on these things in that fashion, right? And this is why when we're looking at Hex, we really care about what the blockchain is saying. We don't care about the dollar value because that's fake, right? That's not real. So when we're looking at charts like this is versus the dollar, right? And all this is showing you is the rate of or the return structure for Hex and how the trend is log based too. And what you end up discovering is that over time, Hex pauses at all these each of these levels, right? Letting you know it is very log 2 focused, meaning that it doubles a lot. And that's what we're seeing over time because as you guys are probably well familiar by now, it has a standing average relative to the last high in September 2020, one where it hit 50 cent. At that point, the average doubling rate went from like 46 days, like 49 days, I think, something like that. I can't remember what it was prior to that, actually. But anyway, the average is 49 days. Clearly, we haven't doubled in over that amount. It's been maybe 6 times that, but that's again why they call it an average, right? Because all that has to happen is what happened before. And that is, Hex runs a few hundred X's, and boom, everything's changed once again. And then you get another 90% dip, and then do it all over again. That's just how markets work, right? They're cyclical. And that's what it's about, right? You want to be able to catch those breaks, right? Because nobody saw Hex dip in 95% because everybody thought people were staking. The only way you get a 95% dip is if people are not staked. But dips are in the game. And we know that they come with it, right? I mean, it's even on the website. So it's not like it's, news or anything like that. But to see it actually happen, it just goes to show that people really don't understand Hex. Or those that are selling, right? They don't understand Hex. Or those that are keeping liquid Hex, they probably don't understand Hex. Because the primary purpose, the primary utility of Hex is to stake it so that you become your own proof of weight miner and you generate yield by minting your own rewards by time locking your Hex for a predetermined period of time, right? Because that's all you're trying to do. Just earn extra coins. I mean, imagine DCAing in daily and not having to worry about the fiat cost of the process. That's all you're doing when you're staking Hex. You're allowing yourself to DCA daily to the point that you're just figuring out how long you want to DCA for. And now the function of how much you get the DCA is relative to what you actually stake in hex terms. So thank you for the super chat, T-Time. Appreciate you, brother. Yes, they are. They very much are. Because they're just showing you the growth of Hex over time. I mean, look, this is Hex post big payday versus each Bitcoin halving. We ripped right out the gate after big payday. Ripped. And now we're just resetting for that next rip. That's all it is. Because that's just how market moves. Look at what Bitcoin's done. First halving in orange. Second halving in blue. Third halving in green. Third halving is the weakest one so far. So it seems like with each iteration of Bitcoin halvings, there's less inflationary pressure on the coin, i.e. less price pumpage. Isn't that interesting? Something to take note of, because the T-share rate doesn't operate in this fashion. It's a consistent type of inflation if you think about it, because the T-share rate is essentially lining that up, right? Because every time a stake ends, what happens? The T-share rate ensures that you need to buy more hex in order to obtain that yield, that unit of yield, because that's what it's about, right? Now, right now, we're literally like sitting right on the third halving index, which is interesting. We bounced off of it so far. So far, we're holding nicely. 4 cents, or oh, this is V1. Hold on. Yeah, 4.2 cents. Not looking bad. And again, it's just about market structure, right? Price structure. For those of you that like TA. If Hex loses this level, it could get ugly, right? We could see 1 cent or below if we lose this level. I don't think we're going to lose this level. That's just me. What am I basing that on? What I'm seeing on chain. If you look at the liquidity pool, you see it. Let's see, swap. Well, I mean, plenty of people have been posting little snippets too, those little blockchains or whatever. Those order book picks. Yeah, that's what they are. Order book picks. And as you guys can see, I mean, yeah, this is just a 3% pool. So, let's buy wall here, all the way down to 3 cents. So, and then there's more here, and I mean, as you guys can see, the orders just keep running down, and they're not thin like they are up here. So there's your counterbalance, right? Because that's really how markets work. Let's see if we can go to other pools and see what they got going on. Let's go with 24-hour volume. There's another thick order book, relatively speaking. 90 million. What? No, sorry. Let's go back here. I think I played myself looking at that one. No. 189. Okay, yeah. 20 million total value locked. 350 million in volume over the past. Oh shit. That's not fucking hex facts. Damn it. There we go. All right. All right. Hex ETH, 330,000 volume. So as you guys can see, it's pretty much just the 30-bit pool. Partially the Hex ETH 30-bit pool, but volume is really scant there. But let's take a look at this book at least. There you go. But those are the kinds of things you got to know. right? Because if the book is skewed to the bid side, price cannot go there. It's just not gonna happen. It's like a cloud. It's just gonna hold the price up, basically. Let's see what we got over here. It's a weird ass order book. Let me try to zoom in on this thing. I guess they really want to sell them over here at 8 cents. 11 and a half, 133,000. Okay. 130, 140. All right. Let's see. Relatively speaking, meager size of the pool. So be interesting to see what happens. That was this pool here. Yeah. But again, right, you see how those orders are just stacked down there. This is why I just don't really see price moving that much lower. Now, here's T-shares versus Bitcoin and Ethereum versus the price of Ethereum in pink and versus the price of Bitcoin in orange. Now, the interesting thing to note here is that T-shares never really go down. They always maintain their structure up, right, up, right, up, right. And that's kind of what we want to see in any good asset over time. Yes? You don't want to see it to ever lose value relative to a previous phase of growth. Because then that means you're seeing contraction. You don't want contraction. You want positive growth. This is very, I guess, subtle, but try to comprehend it because it's critical in order to understand the significance of HEX. Because, you know, it's something I guess I don't say enough, but maybe I should. HEX is like a business, right? You're not getting 30, 80% or 30, 40% APY anywhere. Not where you're holding your keys. Well, nobody's holding your keys anymore anywhere either because they don't exist, but you get my point. This sustains and maintains value and increases in value. And this is what you want in an asset. This is just the shares market cap, T-shares market cap versus the HEX price, $9.25 trillion. Yeah, I don't know what this is, so sorry. When I find out, maybe I'll talk about it. T-share rate. I think it actually went up after I did the damn chart. Let me check. Payout today was 6.15 HEX. Let's see. Nothing on the T-share rate yet. Nope. Come on. Yep, it's 22,812 now versus 809. So it's up a few HEX, literally. So not bad. This was the infamous 755 HEX jump. But as you guys see, the increase is maintained. It's consistency after this point in time. Right now, what do I mean? Well, if you look at the gaps before, they were pretty minimal. Right? Like they were there. But here they just are none whatsoever. And here the inflation we've mentioned so far through 929 days post big payday, so 580 days total, 2.59%. So even at a year and a half since big payday, we are still not at 3.69 systemic inflation that the system produces. Something to think about. the value proposition. This is the T-share payout sum. This is how much T-share a person has received per. This is how much HEX a person has received per T-share if they've been staked since inception with one T-share. So that's 4,443 HEX per T-share. Not a little bit. That's quite something. And this is the main reason that when you look at the next chart, you're gonna be like, whoa, this is the return basically in price. And this is the return for the staking yield only. Not price, just staking. I separate them. I don't even show them together. But that is the ROI for just being staked. That's the ROI for this. So, yeah. Daily payout index is at 17,700. And the payout per T-share index is at 5,570. Now, these values are just letting us know that they're in line with the ready change that they should be in line with. So over time, they are sustaining their level. They're not falling off, right? And in fact, they're superior in the sense that what you do see in terms of variation is strictly to the upside, meaning that any surprises are going to benefit you strictly. Write that one down. Everybody gets paid chart. Now, what this chart is showing you is the average in terms of days for the payout. This is the yellow line is the all-time average. The orange line is the 28-day average, and the pink line is the 55-day average. The Y line is the price of HEX. And as you guys see, the 55 and the 28-day are pretty much the same, 6.2 HEX. And the all-time is 4.778. So if you've been staked since day one, that's your average yield per T-share, basically on a daily basis, as of today, as of two days ago, 4.778 HEX. So the system payout is increasing on an average basis daily, as you guys can see. So this is what I like to call the reality of system building value, right? Because every day the system is paying you. Every day that the system is paying you, your balance sheet is getting stronger because you have something more of value there. Even if it's not liquid, you still account for it because you're going to be able to access it at some point in the future. So it's like a receivable of sorts, right? It's really what it is. So think about that in accounting terms, right? An account receivable is something that's going to be due to you at some point in the future. That's all. So you've been receiving these HEX every day this whole time. So you started out, right, walking or crawling, barely. Then you're crawling okay, then you're kind of walking, then you're walking, then you're kind of running, then you're kind of jogging, try to hop around, right? So we're still trying to find our legs type of thing. Because I think once we go over 5 HEX, I mean, how much value is that, right, in terms of payout? I mean, this is 4.778 on average. We got 402,000 on an index basis. And this is 4,443 HEX per T-share. That's crazy, especially now that it's 6+ every day. I mean, on a weekly basis, right? That's 42, 43 minimum, because you're talking 6.2 times 7, right? That's 43.4. So, I mean, on a monthly basis, right? That's 172.4 times 6, or 0.4 times 4 is 1.6, so that's 173.6, right? Around thereabouts. So you're talking about you're adding that much per month, just in HEX per one T-share. I mean, and that number goes up over time too, right? So this is what the system did 2 days ago, 65.5 million, and that generated a payout per T-share of 6.144 HEX. This is the total amount of shares in the system, 10,421,000. So what happens is that the system says, all right, I got X number of HEX to pay out today, how many shares are in the system. The system says X shares, and then it goes, all right, well, I'm going to give each T share this much. But how does it generate that number? It literally divides this number by that number. So the daily payout per T share, this pink line is literally this number, 65 million divided by the 10 million. So since it's 65.615 versus 10.4, it ended up being 6.15 or whatever it was for that day, 6.2. So this is the all-time correlation for Hex and versus Hex and Ethereum, or Hex versus Ethereum and Bitcoin. And what you'll see is that the correlation is 0, meaning that over time Hex does its own thing versus Bitcoin and Ethereum. And that's pretty much how that works. It might seem like they're correlated because they're going up in price and going down in price at the same time during certain periods of time. But what you're not understanding is that, or what you might be missing is that people are going to react to what they see in other markets. So because humans are human and they're not understanding that nothing has changed in the software, the dollar value is, of course, going to line up or coincide in terms of a move with the rest of the market, because that's people reacting. People. That's exactly what's doing that. It's pretty important that people wrap their head around that anecdote, because Hex does nothing that anything else does. Hex does its own thing. It generates yield daily. Nothing else does that consistently without fail. So it's not the same. You're conflating what human beings are doing based on their emotions with what's going on under the hood. Mistake. Now, what is this chart showing us? This chart is showing us the T-share rate, fiat value versus, or the correlation between Hex and the T-share in fiat value terms. Why am I showing this? Well, it's very simple. We want to know if the price of Hex is guaranteed to the value proposition, which is the T-share. Plainly put, the value proposition of our system, Hex, a store of value, is the T-share, which is what stores the value for us and increases our value for us. Not a coincidence. That's how it works. It's like magic. So what happens is, over time, you want to ensure that the correlation between that value proposition, the T-share, and the price of Hex are lined up. You want them to be coincide, because the system says, hey, this is the value for this unit of yield today. Now, what you want over time is, given that the system is increasing in value over time, in crypto terms, which is the asset. Yes, crypto is the asset. You're generating more of an asset every day. Imagine owning a franchise of McDonald's or whatever business you think is good enough from that perspective, cash flow, and that it just prints itself, a little bit more of itself every day. You own a McDonald's, a freaking Burger King, or whatever cash flow generating asset, that it just prints a little bit more of itself every day, and then thereby generating you more yield. That's what Hex does. It doesn't need a chaperone. It doesn't need an invite. It just does it. And it's all because of this T-share. So the fact that the rolling correlation between Hex and the T-share in fiat value terms is strictly 1 or greater than 98%. I mean, this is unheard of. On a rolling basis, this is unheard of. Unheard of. This is the value proposition. This is what's going to make a lot of people rich. This is why you stake your Hex. People that understand this will not lose. RI multiplier from the all-time low. It's currently at 684. Well, I'm a little bit higher now, right? If it's at 4 cents. Total value locked 2.3 billion. This is all the staked hex in the system, basically. Total value per staker. So you guys notice this whole scale here is power values of 2. Maybe not. You didn't notice, but let me show you. Let's see here. Table of okay. So what we have here is table of values of n, which means any number 0 on up, right? As you guys see, it's just going up 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and so on. And then it's taking the value of that n and making it a power. So 2 to the n. 2 to the 1 is 1, or 2 to the 0 is 1, 2 to the 1 is 2, 2 to the 2 is 4, 2 to the 3 is 8, and so on. So you get these values here, right? These values emitted based on this equation, right? So what you see when you look at these charts is that you see it kind of stops up here at 524,288. Now, if I'm telling you this is log base 2 scaled, and you see that the price of hex stops so often at these log base 2 values, that means that that is the nature of that stream of returns. Now, if you see here, n equals 19 for 2 to the n is 524,288. Crazy, right? What are the odds at the top would be that? What are the odds? I have no idea. That happened in September. Had it even been, hold on, hold the fuck on. Probably shouldn't be doing this on stream, but it's fine. Let's see. Did not think so. $19 months. Just want an accurate value. Yeah, I didn't think so. Anyways, I gotta think about that. But anyways, we hit 2 to the end. N equals 19, right? And that was the top. And now we kind of lollygagged all the way down to about this 16,384 value, which is N equals 14. So we went back 5N. These are things that are happening on this chart, no matter what, right? And if you look at over time, what the chart is doing is stopping at these values. I mean, it's not a coincidence. It's what happens. All throughout the process, right? It's just stopped at those values. And I mean, even up here and even here, right? It stopped at 262, 144, 131, 072. I mean, and then it's slow. So we'll see. You know, is this the peak? Is it really 5N back, or 5 levels, or 5 iterations back? We'll see. But I mean, a strong case is to be made for us finding a bottom here. There's just a lot of things lining up for that, but we shall see. We never know who's going to sell the hell out of it, right? I mean, they've been trying to sell the hell out of it, and it just hasn't been working lately. So I think we're at a pretty interesting inflection point. Now, this chart is showing you Current holders in orange. Current versus total holders, excuse me. Current versus total stakers in silver. And then current stakers versus current holders in yellow. So you guys can see current versus total stakers is pretty flat line, meaning people are pretty much happy when they stake, right? 4 out of 5 people stake. One person doesn't stake again, the other does. Very straightforward. This chart, this line is letting us know that current versus total holders is looking pretty flat, meaning people are just staying in the system and no longer leaving. And it seems like by that admission, looks like we're probably increasing slowly but surely the stake line. Oh, wait, nope. Sorry, my angle of view didn't help me realize that there was a slight downward slope on this current versus total holders line, but it's so negligible and it's just as negligible as the slight increase you're seeing in the stake to holders line. But that's all based on this slight decrease because the current versus total stakers is flat line. But again, that's fine. It's better to be static than not growing from that perspective. Because what you want is you want people using the system. You don't want people in and out of the system. You want people actually using the system. You want sticky money, right? This is why our volume numbers are so good, right? This is why these foolish exchanges are losing out so much to their detriment. Current holders is at 304,672. That number doesn't stop going up and to the right. Something to think about. Current stakers, 96,748. Another number that doesn't stop going up and to the right. Something to think about. Sorry, guys. Let's see. Supply. Circulating supply for holder. Per current holder. Now, as you guys might or might not know, this number is not consistent, right? The circulating supply is going to change on a daily basis based on what's minted and what people decide to hold and not hold. But we're at a point where now we're at below 2 million. We started at 2.85 million in terms of the supply that was circulating per current holder. So the user base has grown such that almost 50% of that or 30% of that value has disappeared, or number is just not available anymore. It's probably like 40% because I got a chart for that somewhere. But 40% of that value is just not there anymore. Like, it's just 40% harder to get HEX now. Very important to understand. Stake HEX per staker is at 625,000. Now, this is interesting. This is a very interesting chart to me because at one point, the ability to stake HEX was such that you could even get your hands on 2.5 million at one point. On average, that's what this means. Now it's so hard that you got to really come up with a pretty penny just to come up with 625,000 HEX, right? At 4 cents, that's not a little bit. You divide that number by 4, right? And that's how much HEX you just got at 4 cents. Oh, I'm sorry, you're not dividing that number by 4. You're dividing that number by 3. You're dividing that number in thirds, and you're keeping a third. And that's the cost because it's 4 cents. But 25,000. There you go, 4 cents of that. Okay. So there you go. But again, that's 25 G's just to be average on one hit, right? Stake HEX per staker. Payout per staker. As you guys see, this is the same trend. Again, just keeps getting smaller and smaller, that pie. 678 HEX in payout per staker. Now, this is how this chart highlights essentially how the staking pool works for HEX, right? As you guys know, the max inflation rate is 3.69%. But as you might not know, a bunch of HEX was sacrificed, and it ended up amounting to, I think, 300 billion, 350 billion HEX out of the whole 578 billion or 580 billion in circulating supply. So what that means is it's reduced the potential floor for the APY all the way down to 70% or so. So we could see a floor of 5% APY total. If the system ever does reach some modicum of full capacity, meaning greater than 60%, I would definitely call that some type of quasi capacity, because that would be an exorbitant amount of coins are staked, right? I mean, currently, what do we have? I think Apex is a good place to do that. Give me a second, guys. HEX.VISION, actually, because I want you guys to see a number. 9.43% is cool, but it's not a physical number. I think it's like 61 billion HEX or something that's staked. Yeah, whatever the difference is between these two values, that's how much HEX is staked. So let's go to Wolfram. So that's 60.5 billion HEX that's staked. Right, if this number doubles, then the staking rate doubles, right? We go from 9.4 to 18.8, and the yield adjusts proportionally. Simple. Now, let's see. Okay. Oh, here you go. 60 million HEX staked, according to this data point, which doesn't coincide with what I just did. It's actually a little off. Let's adjust the date just to look forward a little bit. No, not 15 years. Come on. What is this? 22 June. Let's go to January. That's fine. Let's go to 15 months. Oh, from now. There you go. So here we go. We got another big hitter coming out 6:30. Week of 6:30. Next week we got another chunk coming out 1.39. This week is pretty light. Well, that was last week. This is this week. So far so good, right? So I guess between these 2 points in time, we'll see. Because typically, what we've experienced is that when there's a sizable chunk coming out, it doesn't affect the market at all. It gets restaked or whatever. So it's really no big deal typically. And after that, it's not really much out there, man. So I don't know. Get your HEX now. That's really the best thing I could say, because in fiat terms, it could just not be the same value in the future, because it's just going to be less minted inflation coming out of the system. And these are the kinds of things you got to think about, right? I mean, look at the ecosystem right now. You got Hedron. It's looking real bullish. And as you guys know, I really like Hedron. I understand it. It's a lot. It's a lot for some people to wrap their head around, but this serves a purpose. It serves a purpose in the Hex ecosystem, and if you don't understand it yet, do yourself a very good, favor and go read the site, because it really tells you everything right there. Hedron.pro. Because what this allows, it allows people to create transferable hex stakes. Somebody wants to give somebody a gift of a hex stake, they can easily make a 10,000 hex HSI. Boom, done. They don't even got to own the keys. They don't have to do nothing. They can just transfer it. Right? Now, people start borrowing tons of hex or tons of Hedron HSI. Because here's the thing. Might not know, but Hedron is ridiculously undervalued, right? Now, at some point in the future, I'll probably do a stream on how undervalued it is, why it's undervalued, and show you guys the math on it. But yeah, man, it's undervalued, like by a lot. So, yeah. I mean, look, just from a pure odds perspective, all the zeros in this thing, with conjunction with how it works and how it's designed, automatically makes it undervalued. Ridiculously undervalued. Because what happens is, if you own hex stakes or HSIs that you borrowed against and you can't pay that off, well, that thing goes up for liquidation. And I think it's after like 30 days. So after those 30 days, you got a period of time to maybe pay it back, something like that. Can't remember exactly the details anymore. But point is, you can only bid on those liquidations with Hedron. So that's the only way you'll be able to get those T-shares at a fraction of the cost. It's like buying a defaulted stake. That's going to become attractive in the coming years because people will drop the ball. And you will want to wish that you had this Hedron that you could get now for cents, right? Like you can get a million Hedron for 49 cents right now. A million or something for 49 cents. Yeah, I don't know that Akasa thing. I don't know what that is. Probably some staking feature or something because they've been working on that. But I really don't know. So I can't talk on it, man. So do not ask me because I do not know. I'll speak on it when I know. But oh yeah, that's another thing. A lot of people are not claiming the Hedron, man. I don't know what's up with you guys. But y'all better get y'all mind right, man. Y'all slipping on y'all slacking, yo. Like, how'd you just slacking on your money like that? I don't understand it. I don't understand it. But people are doing this. And this is what I'm saying. Like, people are just letting Hedron just disappear. It's becoming so rare every single day that passes. And people are out here playing games. Sad. Sad, sad, sad. Sad state of affairs. So, maybe I'll do a video, maybe I won't. I don't know. Because I'll be busy. And I'll be forgetting things. But you might want to do your homework here. Because you might not be quite getting it just yet. Because this thing here could be doing something. See what's going on with Maxi. Yeah, this thing, I like it, but it's so overvalued. If you look at the treasury and what is generated, can I even? Let's see. I mean, it's obvious, right? Like, it's overvalued and stuff. So let's see. Yeah. So even here they tell you, right? 4.3 cent hex. So this is the backing per Maxi. 1.047 hex and 19 Hedron. So what do?
We take that. Let's multiply that by what? 4 cents. What is it? 2, 1. Let's give him some goods. So that gives us 4.41 cents. Okay. So now we're gonna do the Hedron. 19 point what? 19.3219. What's this price again? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4, 9. Oh, why the hell is this thing negative? What the fuck's something up? Nah. Looks fine. Why is this not working? Why is it reading it like that? Nah, why are you reading it like that? It's not any of those. Well, this is stupidly annoying. It's not picking it up right. Huh. This is funny. Okay. Let's do this then, since you want to be a brick. Alright. Result of that. Come on. Decimal form. There we go. Okay. Oops. Plus. Oh. Oh no, I got it. Alright. So there's your total value. This is your actual price for Maxi per their math. Okay. So that's to say that if you're going to be buying Maxi, you have to understand that you have to hold on to it, right? You got to hold on to it, because otherwise you're not, you might not experience the full value of your hold period, right? Because what's happening here? What's happening is that the market is placing a premium on the future value of this coin today. So if you buy it today at 7.5 cents, you're paying 70.9% above the actual value of the coin that they're showing here. Typically not what you want to do. You typically do not want to overpay for stuff, right? It's kind of not what you want to do. But here's what's interesting. The whole market is paying that premium. So that means that if you catch that price, like right now, it might be an okay move, because the premium will adjust with the market over time, right? And that can be hard for some people to understand, because yeah, it's clearly overvalued. It's telling you here. It's telling you here. But what does that tell you? Two things. You got to hold, or you got to buy and not wait for it. And maybe the market will take care of you, meaning the valuation will adjust with the market, because that's clearly the premium right now. But what happens if this flatlines? The Maxi versus East chart versus Hex chart, if it decides to show up, What happens if this just flat lines, meaning it just keeps going like this, or it just stays here, meaning they both go up in tandem and that premium never changes? I mean, they just go up at the same time, right? So you just should have held on, right? Like, as they're just both going up. So while this is going up, this is also going up. And this is what we're seeing right now. So the market valuation is and does adjust, right? And this is what we're seeing in real time. We already saw Hedron adjust, right? And of course, it's a small batch in terms of the valuation, but it still counts. And that's the point, right? And the valuation is up. Simple. So as you guys can see, over time, the valuation of Maxi does adjust with the market, but you have to understand what makes up that valuation of 7.5 cents. And it's this number plus the premium. That's it. That's it. No less, no more. That's what makes up the value. Okay. And that's really all it is. So try to understand that, because it's very important when it comes to Maxi, because just because it's overvalued doesn't mean the value can't change with it, right? The overvaluation, it can change with it. I mean, we see this all the time in capital markets and legacy stuff. We see it all the time. We see it all the time. And this is why what you're seeing now is happening, where you see all this inflation just ripping apart the basis of everything. You know, it's rough out there for anybody participating in markets right now. Very rough. Because what's happening is that they're getting sideswiped with things that they don't understand because they're levered. You know, look at all these fake crypto companies again. They're not even standing a chance. They're just getting wiped out. There's no bailouts here. The Fed isn't going to help them. They don't care. So they're just toast, you know. So if you were the only person to stake and only 1% of the coins were staked, you would be getting 369% APY. But since 9.5% of us are staked, we're somewhere in between here, 39, 40%. So that's pretty much what's going on there. Pretty much all I got, guys. We're looking solid over here on all fronts, honestly. The whole ecosystem is looking good. At least of what I look at. This shit here, I don't even know why this shit is here. It's probably from that airdrop when I got it. But I really, really like Hedron. If you're small pockets trying to get your t-shirts up, this would be a very good play for you. Because again, you know, it's all about those zeros. I mean, let's take a look real quick. You know, if you bought this dip right here in between 20 cents for a million and 18 cents for a million Hedron, I mean, you already quadrupled your money, right? Like, let's look at this. Like, you guys gotta really do some math. You know, stop playing these little bullshit games these lanes be playing out here. Like, really do some math. That's how you make this money. Look at that, 1.5x, 1.5x in a day, 5 hours. That's what I'm talking about. Like, that's money right there. Like, this is what we're talking about. Like, you know, people ain't doing that nowadays. You know, they out here railing and shit, crying. When my Bitcoin? Oh, too funny. So, you know, take these notes home with you, learn. Respect the math, respect the code, understand it. You know, if you don't, learn something. It'll take you a long way. It'll take you a long way. So yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Catch you guys on the next one. Thank you for the super stickers, T-Town. Much appreciated. If you're not staked, you know, get there. Watch my Hex Back to Basics video. Watch the one after that, and the one after that, and watch this one again. I'm really making these things digestible now, because people really need to grasp what's going on here. It's to their benefit. We all win. You know, there's no competition here. It's all about everybody eating, so everybody can do what they got to do for their family, and their friends, and whoever they want to take care of, and do whatever they got to do. So, y'all get y'all knowledge up, and let's get these dollars up. Peace.
Right? The reality is that I want to be rich as fuck. There's only one way to be rich as fuck. That's by sitting on your ass the longest. That's it. That's the secret. The God well told you. Richard done told you. I done told you. Kareem done told you. Maddie done told you. Everybody done told you. Everybody done told you. Shit, motherfuckers still acting like they don't know. Appreciate that.
Like this. Yeah.
I appreciate that.
100% safe. There's plenty of games left.
Valiant done told you. Yo, everybody said it. I mean, hey, you know what it is, man? Everybody done told you. Y'all deep, everybody.